We haven't made very many trucks, and that's why our key topic is to deliver scale as many as we can. We've so far put 31 trucks on 5 continents. We would actually be later announcing very soon more European money into this round, and also US money. We would still like to be listed publicly later this year in New York, and then also in Europe as a dual listing.
When we're not interviewing the biggest names in the energy world, we actually have Wolfe Power Club's special advisory services. Energy M&A is complex, not because of deal structure, because of what you need to do before and after deal closes with your company or the future company. At Wolfe Power Club, our special advisory services support energy companies, investors, leadership teams through mergers and acquisitions and strategic transactions, and also fundraising. And our speciality is downstream energy sector. Get in touch through the website or through LinkedIn. And remember, Wolfe Power Club's special advisory services, because in energy, experience is the edge. Run with the pack.
So how good is this truck? Let's talk about numbers. Based on public information, we believe across every metric, we have the best performance. And that is that is not only because we work harder and we work more quickly, that's also because we started the company at the right time. We started the company in 2022. I started the company with me and some ideas on the iPad. It's really difficult to make the right choice because the better you make your new version, the quicker you cannibalize your own product. So that's why we are lucky because we started with nothing. We're lucky because we had already observed what Tesla has been doing starting in 2017, 5 years before us. And we can already observe what every EV car has been doing since really the 1990s. And there comes Craig, our head of finance and planning. The key performances are range, charging speed, weight, power. The second line is what we call loaded, so up to the legal limit of each region, so United States, Europe, China, Australia. The worst we did was 584 kilometers hauling steel in Australia. So unfortunately, Charles's team holds the worst record of our single trip performance. The key reason we get to is actually the speed and the hilliness of the Australian highways. So it's not Charles's fault. The weight. The most interesting thing I want to show is the double trailer configuration. This is becoming more popular in the rest of Europe as well. It's already a standard, almost ubiquitous in Australia. And the double trailer is weighed differently across the region. 64 tons we did in Denmark, and we managed 500 kilometers. It was actually a round trip, so we barely had any battery left. And then we then have the 54 ton also carrying steel, actually from the same customer, called Blue Scope, which is the top steel maker in Australia. And this time was 54 tons at 469 kilometers. We believe this is the best performance. In particular, EV trucks don't generally carry this much weight. Especially the European truck configuration focuses on the 4x2 compact design, and we want to offer a different product. We also had this chart, but it was much less diverse in the content. We've now carried weight under all sorts of conditions, really bad ones, minus 20 degrees in China. The interesting about China is because of the way the weather is, where we tested this is actually about the same altitude as here, but it's minus 20 degrees on an average day. Europe is actually far luckier with the warm winds and so forth, but in China this is sort of a normal day for our customers. Really hot weather was 38 degrees of heat. I think it was 37 degrees in the deserty areas of China on the Kazakhstan border. So you can see the worst performance was the 400 kilometers, which is correct. cold weather is the worst factor for EV trucks. And we have not cracked that problem. The batteries have to warm themselves, but I want to show you our worst case, because that's how you know on your worst day, we can do more than 414 kilometers. In China this month, under Jason's guidance, we're running for decathlon daily trips, or bi-daily trips between Beijing and Guangzhou, which is 2,000 kilometers each way. Outside of California, where everything's taxed quite heavily, in Arizona, in New Mexico, and then going down to Texas, the electricity pricing is meaningfully cheaper than diesel. So, assuming you can handle the tariffs, the United States is a huge business opportunity. Not to mention, this corridor called the I-10, which is the blue one from California to Arizona to New Mexico to Texas, and I-35, which is a green one. Each one is running 10,000 trucks per day. 10,000 Class 8 trucks. So if you can manage to get your range to be long enough to only have to charge on the blue dots, you can be already electrifying the busiest highways in North America. And these are two of the world's top 40 highways. In China, we run decathlon, quite commercially from Beijing to Dongguan, which is near Hong Kong. And each red dot is a stop where we charge.
Okay, I'm Johan Klaps. I'm chairman of the port. I'm also Vice Mayor for the city of Antwerp. So the port is really at the center of my activities. And today is a great day because this is a major new step. This is a new type of industry that's coming to our port. We've known a lot of electric cars, but now we have, for the first time, electric trucks with a range that is long enough not to hamper all the drivers going around Europe. So to be able to get that investment to Antwerp means a lot to us because, as you probably know, industry is not in great shape in Europe. We have bad tidings coming in as well. So to attract the new economy, the new sustainable transition to energy is great news that it's happening right here in Antwerp. Well, we've been going on this process for a long time. Our strategy is going multi-fuel. So we want to have an open access port for any type of fuel, be it LNG, be it ammonia, be it hydrogen, or electricity. So we're also investing in shore power for the container ships in a few years' time. That should be there in place. We need to decarbonize. I was in Windsor Castle yesterday talking to King Charles about this initiative. So I think the importance is recognized around the globe. We're leading there. We have been leading for many years. It is a challenging route, but we've always been front runners. We've also our own tugboats. We have an electric tugboat. We have a methane tugboat. We have a hydrogen tugboat. We are testing these. We are front running. We're taking the first mover risk for the industry, so that they can follow us. And it's a few setbacks now and then, but all in all, we're going in the right direction. Well, it's great. It's just another new gem for our city. I mean, Antwerp is a city of diamonds. Antwerp is a city of fashion. Antwerp now also the city of electric trucks. So it's just another addition to a long list, and that's one more reason why everyone should come over and visit Antwerp and do business here, because Antwerp is always open for business. King Charles has started the Sustainable Markets Initiative several years ago. I mean, he's a very keen fan of decarbonization. And he organized a meeting yesterday with over 25 captains of industry from various sectors on the greening of shipping, because, well, as you know, shipping, there's a lot of carbon there, and it's not easy to decarbonize shipping. The long haul is very difficult to make more sustainable. Last year the IMO postponed postponed the new legislation on decarbonization. It's up again this year, so the discussions are open, and he just wanted to know what the industry could do to help to get everyone across the line, because it will of course only work if this is a global initiative. So this was a very, very interesting meeting. There were people from banking, from insurance, from industry, from carriers. So it was a wide variety of people there, all captains of industry. It was a meeting for over an hour and a half. It even took longer than he had time for, because he was so interested, and he listened to all of us and drew some conclusions, and actually gave us homework, because he said, well, this is an interesting meeting, but I need follow-up points, so I need you guys to work more. It was the first time I ever went to Windsor Castle. Pretty impressive, I must say. And meeting the king for the first time. Is actually a very nice guy. Well, I think it must be, especially for short sea. It's already possible. So as over 10% of the traffic of the port of Antwerp is with the UK, there is a lot of short sea traffic. So electrification there is absolutely possible today. This is not some dream of the future. It's just we just need to get everyone to get aligned. There are a couple of carriers already that have ships that can do this, or have ordered ships that can do this. So let's work on this together and get things moving.
We're proving the other thing, which is the drivers are comfortable in the truck, doing 5,000 kilometers. This is a 7-day trip, and the round trip is 14 days. What we're really competing against is actually not trucks. We're competing against airplanes and railways. When someone in Kazakhstan, which is the biggest landmass in Asia outside of Russia and China, when they buy their smartphone, where do you think their smartphones come from? They're all made in the south of China, they're Hong Kong. How can they get their smartphones? There are 3 ways to ship it. Well, there's 4. You can fly it in an airplane, which is hugely expensive. You can take the train, but the trains are not going every day. You have to wait for the trains, you have to bulk, right? And then you can also ship it via ship, but there's no easy way to get it shipped into somewhere like Kazakhstan in the middle of Central Asia. So the only way you can do it is by trucking. Now, how can you reduce your cost and save the environment in doing transportation, right? So we're offering a sweet spot that offers an airplane-like. So we're basically twice the time that the airplane takes, because it takes a day to get it to the airplane and then fly. A fraction of the cost, and far faster than the railway. By the way, for those of you who are railway nerds, the train tracks come in different widths between China and the former Soviet nations. That was an intentional decision by the Russians to protect their railway so that the Germans and the rest of the world cannot easily hack into or just drive the train into Russia. So the Kazakhstan, the stance countries are unfortunately cursed with the wrong widths, right? So the trains cannot even go in. So you have to do a train swap. With our truck, what we like to do is, maybe I have a bigger map. What we like to do is we like to do a Hong Kong to Spain line. We will not do it with a single truck because that the driver will be too tired. So we'll probably do it in relays. We do 3 trucks. We do one time to the Chinese-Kazakhstan border. We do once through Central Asia, and then we'll think about how to sort of go through or go around Russia, depending on who you ask, and then we do another route. And the truck we're using is the same truck. The spare parts are the same, the driving behavior is the same, and we think that's the best way to connect sort of on land the 2 farthest sides of the Eurasian continent, which is the biggest landmass on Earth.
So Justin, our colleague, is doing that this winter in the Nordics, and we went to Spain and we tried to show what we can do with the truck. We had an average of 44 degrees, so it means 70 degrees on the asphalt. And we went heads-on what is the most difficult part of it. We were able to see a little Volvo FH trying to do something. We not talk about them, we see that. And the most important thing was to prove that, yes, we can electrify even the southern part of Europe if you have the right range. and then the right partner for electrification. So we find one. The second point about that is Spain is one of the biggest corridors that can be electrified so far, which is a free country. I say free country because no one is looking at it. I think the first mover will take it all. I am able to give you the spots. I would dream to have a charging station. One in Algeciras, when you see the concentration of trucks in Algeciras, it's impressive. It can be, I think, at the level of here. And then up to Madrid, there is nothing. And this is where the economy comes on. The second point was to prove the TCO of the truck. So we get a first TCO matching when we've done another trip, which was with from Venlo, thank you Marian for the start, to Hulu in Hungary, where we proved that we can arrive as fast as the diesel even before in terms of driving time. We were on 2,600 kilometers, don't have to stop for charging. We are able to match the diesel. That was the same thing. Because it's harsh terrain, hilly mountain, hot weather, is the truck able to maintain the speed and the driving time in terms of productivity? Yes. Is the consumption tolerable or in the range and beating the diesel? Yes, in terms of pure energy consumption. Then it comes to how do you charge your truck? You charge at home or you charge on the motorway? Where ecosystem and partnership is coming around that.
So how? This is me? Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't made very many trucks, and that's why our key topic, key mission is to deliver scale as many as we can. We've so far put 31 trucks on 5 continents, and I show you an example of some of the trucks, especially double trailer trucks. We're also introducing more product types, one of which is to be combined with e-trailers. We have our e-trailer friends here. So Tobias is from Trailer Dynamics, which is the white trailer, the light color trailer downstairs. They come with the battery, the powertrain in the trailer as well. We're going to try to do 1,000 kilometers at least between our products. 18 trucks in China, 4 in Europe. Very soon 5 next week. We get another one coming in. 2 in Australia and New Zealand, which is not enough. We'll get more there. And 6 in the US. Very soon 7. And 1 in South America. In South America, we're hauling stuff for Walmart. You can see on the back of the trailer. We're also hauling Heineken beer, which is a fantastic beer brand for those of you from Belgium. So how did we build this truck? Look, the inside of the truck, which I don't talk about as much, is truly different. As you go from left side to right hand side, everything about the truck has to look different. When the iPhone first came out, the reaction of the BlackBerry founder was no one would ever use a phone without the keyboard. And then when the iPhone kept on selling and outselling the BlackBerry, his reaction was, well, then why don't we put a screen on top of a keyboard? So there was actually one time an iPhone, a BlackBerry, which had a touch screen hovering over a set of mechanical keys. So every time you touch the screen, it presses on the key, which then presses the button. We've learned that we had to do everything different, which is how we result in this design. So everything from the frame to the chassis, to the battery, to the powertrain. Traditionally, the truck is in the ladder frame configuration on the left side, and then we have changed the entire shape to make it into a rib cage, and that's how we've put in 700 kilowatt hour battery inside. Frederick, who has very much experience, will tell you that's a controversial decision, but we think it was worth the risk. Again, we don't think the left side design will become extinct like dinosaurs, but it's worth showing people there's another way to build a truck. The battery pack, the great stuff inside is one of our key secret sauces. We had to redesign our battery pack because no supplier could or wanted to give us the battery packs we needed. And so in our journey, we've had to create everything because no one took me seriously in 2022. And when they did in 2024, they still couldn't make the products because it was too risky, right? The powertrain is another thing. The fundamental thing we're doing is we're killing the internal combustion engine, which is dirty, which is expensive, which also wastes half of all the energy that goes into the engine. As you're combusting the stuff that goes inside, as you're burning, half of it goes into waste in the form of heat. That's why if you look at the kilowatt hours of energy consumed in every diesel truck, it is about twice the amount of an EV truck. So if you simply remove the diesel and replace it with the, even if you had the world's worst EV truck, you are still twice the efficiency. But then you need the range, so that's why we need the battery. And then you want to make it light, that's why you need to work on fantastic battery design. Then you want to make it safe, so you want to protect the battery with the structure outside. But all these things are based on the fundamental truth, which is electric automotive is just much more efficient, twice the efficiency of any diesel product. At the time, 100 years ago, electricity was much more expensive as a fuel. So that's why you couldn't buy it. So, 100 years later, I think many people in this room are changing that. For that, we have a United States patent for the chassis. The cab is also unique. You've all been inside our cab, or most of you have. The center driving configuration is actually a result, not the reason for our design. To make the design truly aerodynamic, we had to change the way the truck looks to make it more like a bullet train, a Shinkansen in Japan. Many people say it looks like the Tesla. If I got $1, every time I hear that, I wouldn't have to raise money. But they're right, we look like the Tesla. The real question is, why don't more trucks look like the Tesla? The Tesla is the right design, there's no question about that. But many years before the Tesla, people like Peterbilt and I think even the European folks had concept trucks that were center driver configuration. They just never got it done because they didn't want to spend time on homologation. It would have ruined all their investments in the tooling and the capex, but we had nothing else to do, so we just had to take a huge risk. Now, what comes out of it as a side benefit, but a key one, is driver gets so much better experience. We cannot all fit into the single cab in this room, but the folks in this room, in the 2 trucks we have, we can fit us. We sponsor the basketball team here, and the entire team, 5 starters and 6 players, and myself can fit in the cab. How much money did we spend? Oh, here's a hard question. How much money do you all think we spent so far in the last 4 years, everything combined? Volvo, for comparison, has a 2 billion euro annual budget in R&D. That's just R&D. That's not sales organization. Many of you come from huge businesses or are familiar with them. How much money do you think we've spent so far altogether, including the nice coffee that you're having? This gives you a sign of how much money we spent. 99 million. For 99 million, this is the pet project for a major business. Many businesses write off $100 million for a single mistake. Many businesses pay more than this money for their private jet fleet, right? The reason we spend money so carefully and so efficiently is, 1, we didn't have a lot of money. Having no choice makes it quite simple. 2 is, we changed the way we do business, right? So we today only have 122 people. So you're looking at 5% of our labor force in this room, and the best 5%. So 10% of the brain power. We're totally focused on doing only the same thing once. I do not let our guys do the same thing twice. If you design a rear view mirror that's digital, I force us to use the same thing everywhere. So in the United States, starting our new generation of trucks, as you can see here, in the US, people still use these things called physical rear view mirrors. And that's actually required by law. The NHTSA has decided you cannot kill those yet. However, we force our next generation trucks to have the digital ones too. And we know the drivers don't look at the physical ones once you have the big screen. No one wants to do this and this to see the trucks. When it's rainy, when it's cold, it frosts on the rear view mirrors, you can't see anything. So the cameras are just fundamentally better. In Chile, down here, they also regulate physical rear view mirrors. Sorry, Justin wants to know when he can go. I think he can go now.
I or Christoph need to go with him.
Okay, Christoph, I think you may need to drive the truck to the place to get the tachograph or the thing fixed. Christoph.
We still have a few minutes.
We do? Okay, sorry. So back to my very exciting speech. Well, this is how we work. I mean, there's no, the folks are doing their things not because I'm here, but because this is what needs to be done. In Chile, we went in with the digital rear view mirrors, and we learned you have to have the physical ones, so we glued them onto the truck, right? So we force every design decision to be global, because if you don't do that, I cannot afford to hire 3x the people. The other thing we're doing is we're not wasting money on building a giant manufacturing site. Funny I say that because I literally had a ceremony about manufacturing. There's a huge difference between how we manufacture stuff and how trucks have been manufactured in the past. Volvo, which is fantastic, made $1 billion or $700 million investments in the factory in Mexico for about 1 million square meters. Scania, also a fantastic business, invested 2 billion? Some billion euros in their China plant because they are so strong and they do everything. We don't have the luxury, and we're also lucky that in China, particularly where there is an overcapacity problem, our suppliers can do most of the work, and we're taking advantage of it, right? So we're standing on the shoulders of giants, and so we're lucky because our manufacturing footprint here is only how big is our site in Antwerp? 20,000. Yeah, it's about 20,000, 10,000 per.
No, it's 80,000.
80,000. Yes, it's
80,000.
The site we have is like a fraction of what a major truck manufacturer has, because we don't do our painting, we don't do our welding, we don't have to do most of the heavy capex heavy stuff because we help our suppliers take advantage of their inventory. So our French site is going to be about 100,000 square meters. Our site here is 20,000 square meters, just manufacturing space.
Okay.
Our site in China is only 5,000 to 10,000 square meters, right? We're 1% to 10% of the site of our customers, our competitors. But we're not here to kill our competitors. We will not be able to, and we don't intend to do that. I call it, I invented the phrase EV diplomacy, which is a clever, I think, play on the words ping pong diplomacy. The commonality between ping pong and making EVs is the Chinese folks are really good at it. It's true. It's now, ping pong as a sport was invented by none other than the British. The lithium battery was invented by the United States, which was then brought to Japan to make the batteries in our cameras and computers that we're using today, and then went to China and then became sort of the automotive key product that China can export. So China doesn't always invent most things in the EV and sort of electronic space, but China is really good at manufacturing and taking it to scale. What we want to do is take that advantage and somehow share that with our partners and friends overseas, in Europe and in the United States. Eventually also in Australia and in South America. We're lucky to be generally welcomed by many world leaders. We have the Belgian Prime Minister here. We have the French President next to this proportionately large face of Eric. So Eric in real life looks much even more beautiful than that. And we have the Chinese President who came to visit our truck. And then we have the head of Stanford, where I went to school, where Didier and I both went to school. And Nicholas Burns was the former ambassador to China. So we spend a lot of time in these activities, not because we seek the attention, but because without the attention, and help, we cannot become the right profile in their regions. If we didn't do what we did today, we cannot just come here to Antwerp, to Belgium, and say, we'd like to take away your trucks with our cheaper and better trucks. I don't think people like to be forced with a consumer choice. People like to be offered the choice and then invited to be able to trust that choice. Right. So what we're really doing is we're working with as many partners as we can. Now, one good example is Aftermarket, and then I'll talk more about manufacturing. Aftermarket, we work with the biggest independent multi-brands companies everywhere in the United States, in Europe, and also in the Nordics. In the United States, we work with FleetNet, which is under the Cox Automotive brand, which is the biggest third-party repairs business. They offer towing services, they offer repairs, they auction your second-hand vehicles. We're also a big investor in Rivian. In Europe, we work with the Alliance Automotive Group, the biggest in France and in continental Europe. They own G-Truck, MP Trucks. We also work with, in the Nordics, the Radius Group, which is the biggest multi-brand aftermarket service provider, right? The way we work with them is we do two things. We give them our entire service volume list, the SBOC. They have our entire aftermarket list. And then we train them on almost how to build our trucks.
So I wasn't on my own when I came over from the UK. We have the lovely guys from Zenobē. Guys, just tell our listeners your names, what you do, and what Zenobē is for the customers who don't know it.
Hello everybody, Ian Dennis here from Zenobē. I'm head of EV fleet. I look after the truck sector for Zenobē. Really impressed to be here today. I think it's a fantastic truck, and I wish Windrose very well on its future sales.
Hello, Dan Hardy. I'm a technical sales engineer. Been working now with the Belgian team for 3 years, and I'm in charge of implementing charging infrastructure for our clients.
Now, as we were discussing, you've been a few years in the game. What do you think the driver's reaction would be to the vehicle that you've seen today?
I think from a driver's perspective, they will look at the vehicle and they will consider it to be cutting edge and perhaps a little bit futuristic. Most of what we've seen so far with electric trucks is once drivers actually get inside them and start driving them, they realize some of the benefits, that instant torque, that lack of vibration, that really nice, pleasant environment to be in. So I think that will do an awful lot for converting drivers into further electric vehicles as produced by Windrose.
And it's obviously a big year, 2026, in that it's that time when people are looking at the economics versus targets versus how far can we go on the journey. When do you think yards or depots will start ordering these in the tens or replacing a, say, 80 truck depot with 80 electric vehicles? Do you see that happening before 2030?
I think as we move towards 2030, we're going to see an acceleration in terms of the number of electric vehicles. Clearly, the UK government is supporting that at the moment with the changes to the plug-in grant in the short term. What we need to see is that momentum continuing to build across the UK and Europe with further adoption of electric vehicles. Vehicles which obviously bring TCO benefits and benefits in terms of their operation, together with making the environment cleaner.
Now, we don't just have an electric cab today, we have a electric trailer as well. And together they reckon they could do over 1,000 kilometre range. Would that be groundbreaking?
I think if you had a unit that could do 1,000 kilometres, and I haven't seen the information about that, so I can't really comment, but if you had a unit that could do over 1,000 kilometres, yes, that would be groundbreaking. I'd certainly like to explore the specifications before being too quoted on that.
And finally, for Zenobē yourselves, what are your big objectives for the year ahead in terms of EV fleet?
For EV fleet, we want to For EV fleet, what we want to do is continue to support our customers and our future customers for the electrification of vehicles. We're rolling out now new depots and new funding solutions for trucks, and we're hoping that that will lead to further adoption and the scaling of existing fleets within the UK and within Europe, moving from this trial period where they've been trialing one or two through to actually wide-scale adoption.
We actually we train all of our technicians in the network to repair the batteries, to diagnose, and also to change the charging configuration. So we're training our partners to be able to swap a truck from CCS to MCS, from the older MCS-2 to the -20, from CCS plus MCS to just CCS, and sort of vice versa. We're enabling our partners to almost build these trucks like IKEA furnitures. Because why? Building the truck is not our secret sauce. Designing is. Making friends is. But we don't have to control the secret masters who know how to put together the truck. We want it to be as open source as possible. If you look on our website, I will upload publicly precisely how we manually or how we manufacture the trucks. It's an open source procedure. No one does that before because there's so much money they try to make and there's so much more margin to be lost. But we don't care. We just want as many people, qualified professionals, to do that. For our top large customers like Philip here, we also train his workshops and his technicians to be able to diagnose and repair our trucks. Because the more you enable your customers, the more you save their time and money. We're not in the aftermarket profitability business. We are in the helping everybody save money by going from diesel to electricity business. So let's talk about charging. Charging has been a big issue, which is true. I think the world is not ready to charge every truck yet, but the world is ready to charge our trucks. We've charged successfully on 350 plus chargers. 5 continents. Every standard, every protocol, every machine type, every CPO, even for smaller cars and buses, we've charged. So we know wherever you go, as long as you can find a high voltage charger. So low voltage, alternating current, we cannot do, but as long as you're 800 volt high voltage, we can charge. And this is not a theoretical number. When my team says, "Oh, it'll work," it's all checked out. I said, I don't care. Go to that site. Jason did this in Sweden, right? Go stand in the windy night in Sweden and plug the truck into the charger and show me that it works. And if it doesn't work, go figure out why. Is it the payment card? Is it the plug? Is it the protocol? Fix it. Is it the EMSB? Is it whatever? Fix it. Now, many times it's a simple thing. It's the way the trucks are placed and you forgot to turn this on and such, right? We've also broken a record in every region we've driven in terms of how fast we can charge. These are numbers. Everything you've seen here is a real number based on production environment. We don't show test results because no one really cares about test results. What this means is you're charging 1 kilometer. Actually, you're charging more than one kilometer per minute. Every minute goes by. So in the time we've been here, we would have already charged the truck fully. Just a quick note on MCS. We've got charging specialists here. No energy on the slides yet, but I'm sure we can fix it. We went through all the Nordic public or private and public production charging sites. There are 2 mining sites that we went to, and also Circle K, Alfreston. Basically, everyone who has a functional MCS site, we've gone to and plugged the truck in and made sure it works. Right? We believe the MCS will be one of the key things, but not all. Right? So we would like to offer CCS and MCS charging sort of flexibility and interoperability. Okay, so what are we doing here? In the Windrose Park Antwerp, which we will open by the end of this year, we will start to assemble trucks with imported parts. We will provide aftermarket in case there's sort of a major issue. We will build our own chargers so that our customers and our partners can get access to it. And of course, we're asking our partners to think about how to join us. We're getting access to windmill. There's already 1 windmill built on the site. There will be 2 more that are already permitted. Right, so we're talking about real cheap and 100% clean energy. And this, we believe, can be a recipe for our French site, for many more sites, for our customer sites across the world. We show this if many of our key partners. we think about three main set of partners we need. Telematics, because everyone needs to be able to track. Ian and I talked about telematics interoperability. The customers have to know where the hell the truck is. We do not force them to use our thing. You don't have to download a new Windrose app. I'm sure you have enough apps. Whatever you use, we can plug in, right? If you see a logo missing, let me know, and then before you see me next time, our telematics team will get it fixed. Yeah. And when I say it works, it's been plugged into the truck. I've seen it myself that it works on their platform. After sales, we talked about in Australia. We also have now the biggest independent provider called Big Wheels. You notice we focus on independent folks because the established OEMs have their fantastically successful financing and charging and aftermarket channels. Many of you are here because we're offering you a chance outside of the traditional ecosystem. Now, that being said, not public yet, but we are working at least one established OEM to share their aftermarket network with us, starting with one region. I will get more on that, more publicly available, hopefully the next time you see me. Now, I highlighted Minus and NG. So I think what I would love to do is to invite both Didier and the team from Minus to talk a little bit about what we could do together. I will give a quick starter. We believe both businesses are fantastic. And we believe we can work with both to really scale and take over really how fueling is done in a mix of public and depot charging. We believe we're not the only truck that will use your charging products, but we do believe we want to set the example for how that should be done. We've had the pleasure of working with both Minus and NG via Neo in somewhat different ways, right? So for Minus, of course, we're more focused on the public charging sites, especially in the Nordics and here in Benelux. You guys already have two of the biggest sites in Antwerp. One is, I think you can almost see it from here, right? On both sides of the area. For NG VNL, we're talking more about both public, starting in France and also in Germany, Portugal, but also depot. That covers a range of sort of going from Germany to France to Spain to and Belgium, of course, right? So with that, why don't I ask maybe in alphabetical order, NG, I'll ask Didier to start first. Share with us what your vision is and how we can be helpful to you. Well,
thank you, Wen. So maybe just a word about how excited we are about truck charging. So NG VNEOs were part of the NG group, of course, which is a very large utility with a very big focus on renewable in general. And we've been developing a business which is both about light-duty EV charging and about heavy-duty EV charging. But I would say that the difference on the EV-duty side is that with our friend at Minus and a few others, we are one of the real pioneers in Europe. And in particular, we're one of the pioneers in terms of public charging. And what we've discovered is that EV-duty charging is just different enough from light-duty charging that it's complex and that most light-duty players can't handle EV-duty charging. Because once you get into it, you realize that the level of availability you need for trucks is obviously very different because, of course, you get the penalties and you get the pressure of dealing with the business. You know that's on the Decarbonization side. But so that's one thing. You need to think about booking in a way that's not an option or something more, but something that's completely central to the operation. You need to think about how to protect the equipment. Truck drivers can be a little bit rowdy with the equipment, but you also need to think about barriers, because the worst thing you will have is somebody just park on your EV charging on your EV charging installation once you get a new player coming in, and a bunch of other details about how to make the experience work. And so all of that means that to develop those sites, you really need to have a special team and a special focus, which is what we have at NG VNEO. We built the first highway installation, motorway installation in France, on what's called the A6 between the two biggest cities in France, Paris and Lyon, in the south. We are now live with 8 sites in France, and we have a few very big bets on other countries, including Germany, which is the biggest country for trucks in Europe, where we have Port of Kiel that we've announced and that will be live this summer, but where we have already 7 other sites secure, and many more in the pipe. And we're also looking very actively at Belgium and Spain, where we also hope to have announcement to make later this year. So building a wider network in most of the countries and in a number of countries that are the most significant in terms of truck charging. And we are also in a conversation with our friend at Windrose on their 2 sites, which happen to be both interesting in themselves and also very well located for public charging, both in Nain, in Valenciennes, in north of France, which is obviously a big crossroad, and in the wonderful port of Antwerp, where we are today, which is what we would call a destination in trucking, like the Port of Kiel, a place where people go for another usage, where we can also put our charger. So anyway, we're very excited to be here and to start this partnership with Windrose.
Thank you.
Is it working? Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Mine is a bit different. We're closer to Windrose in terms of age. We've only been created in the summer of 2022, so very similar development.
You're younger. We're March.
So it's still in infancy stage.
Your parents are powerful people.
Yeah, we are.
I referenced earlier.
So let's talk about the parents for a bit. So we've been created by some of the largest truck manufacturers in Europe, and our mandate is to make sure that the entire continent is electrified. So we only focus on public charging, which is a major difference with NG. And we are making sure that electric trucks can cross Europe, north to south, east to west, and the other way around. So the idea for us is to make sure that we create a network that enables truck companies to actually use the electric trucks that they are buying at the moment, regardless of the brand. So it can be, you mentioned Scania earlier, it can be a Scania, it can be a Daimler, it can be a Windrose. What matters to us is that a truck company who buys an electric truck can use it and cross the entire continent and deliver the goods in a truly durable manner. So durability for us is not just climate-based, it's also economical. So that means competitive TCO compared to diesel and other alternatives, and also with a huge focus on the driver themselves. Because if you look at it, if you take a step back, you need a truck and you need a driver, and we, as everyone in the ecosystem, need also to cater to the driver and be focused towards respecting them and making sure that their needs are being met. I think we're one of the first company to do truck charging in Europe. At the moment, we're the biggest in Europe. We have Windrose trucks coming for testing already. We've been talking together for a few months, and we'll be announcing more and more ways that we work together. And I think it's very important that we don't work just as competitors. For example, with NG today, we need to work as an ecosystem and be enablers of that transition. Just a couple of years ago, the transition was very much starting. Now we are at the tipping point where we need to show the market that it's not just a testing phase. We're moving into an operational phase, and we are able to actually be competitive with diesel. And companies like Windrose and other disruptors in the market are really key in making that happen. And anything that we can do to help truck companies move to electric is something that we should do, and we should make it not just based on relying on subsidies and things like that. We need to make it truly viable, both, as I said, ecologically speaking, but also economically speaking. And that's what we're doing at Mylens. That's why we're bringing the prices down, so that we find a way with the economies of scale to be viable. But we also want to make sure that transport companies like you guys are also able to operate and make money off of it. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think the key message I want to hopefully have everybody take away is we don't think about competitive or competitors, because if my product is so similar to somebody else's product that every day you're comparing us against them, you're talking about pricing and everything, that means I'm selling the wrong product. The truly great product is something that's so differentiated that someone doesn't have to think twice about. We should define the category. And that's really what we focus on. Now with that, a quick intro of our friend Roger Atkins. Roger is one of the most famous people I know. It's like an EV. It's not just because of the hat. Even without a hat, he's still quite famous. Roger, if you don't mind, tell us a bit about yourself and why you're so famous on LinkedIn and in real life.
Okay, well, hello everybody. I'm also here with my friend Richard Taylor, who's the founder of Battery Britain. And we've just come from a gigafactory, Vercore's gigafactory in France, which I have to say to any French people in the room, formidable, c'est magnifique. And my journey's been in automotive for 40 years, 20 years in electrification, 11 years working for myself. My chops, if you like, in terms of electric vehicles began with a startup called Modec, making electric vans in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. They were LFP batteries, remarkably so when you think of where we are today. But to kind of come to the chase and not make this a long-winded story, I've been an advocate of electrification, certainly since that time at Modec. And if anything, the industry has gone about this revolution the wrong way around. We should have started with commercial vehicles, taxis, buses, vans, and trucks, not passenger cars, because passenger cars are a much harder fit to go with electrification. Nonetheless, we can all blame Elon Musk. It's already happened. We saw at Davos with, Mark Carney and other people, etc. So yeah, this is the right time. This is the right, proposition. And this is why, like Richard and I have been on a little road trip. Sorry, we're a bit late this afternoon. We like being with people that get done. Seen it this morning. I think we're seeing it now. So that's it.
Thank you. And in case you were wondering, Roger has 300,000 followers on LinkedIn, which is
if that. That's all it is.
Which is 300,000 more than I have. Yes. Roger has been invited by me to join our advisory board, and I think it's fantastic. Also on the line, Roger, is Frederick from Scania. Frederick used to
wonderful.
lead the e-mobility program at Scania.
Hi, Frederick.
So I'm making fun of him every other day.
Yeah. He's probably gone to sleep after hearing me talk.
Exactly. When he wakes up, I'll introduce you guys. I promised 2 hours of me talking, so almost there. We have I think just 4 more slides, but I think I hope they're the most interesting slides. I call them "What's next." Let me go back to the normal. What's the normal view? Slideshow. There you go. This is not a beautiful slide. I wish I had more time to make it nicer, but this is real time stuff. What's next for us? Today we're the global E700 is the global E700 because it's a global truck homologated in the only 3 key markets for homologation purposes: Europe, North America, China. It's got 700 kilowatt hour of battery and 670 kilometers of range. That's not enough. That's far from enough. We'd like to really keep making that better. We'd like to be always 20% better than the second best in the market and 20% better in pricing, which results in about 1.5x what I call bang for the buck. Anything less than 10%, people don't notice. Anything more than 2x is not possible. So 1.5x better is our goal. Now, how can we then beat ourselves by 20% each version? So starting in 2027, so next year, we're looking at putting 800 kilowatt hour of battery. So that is 14% more battery. And achieving 785 kilometers of range, which is 10% more fuel efficiency in the truck. According to physics and chemistry, you can perform on a lithium-based liquid battery, a liquid state battery. But we want to share with you the roadmap because we need to stay meaningfully ahead of our competition, our peers, by continuing to innovate. The other thing we're doing, the other two things is on the bottom we have a lightweight tractor because many of our customers are also return to base, drayage, shorter haul, fixed routes customers like in Los Angeles or even here. But you cannot do so with the small battery to start with. You have to do so with the massive 800 kilowatt hour battery. At the top, and that's why I invited our friends from Trader Dynamics here, which is to think about what else can be electrified.
Wolfe Power Club listeners, welcome today. We are in Antwerp and we're with Trailer Dynamics. Tell us your name, what you do for the company, and then describe this beautiful machine.
Hello, my name is Tobias Marian. I'm the head of sales of Trailer Dynamics, and what we are doing is we are producing the e-trailer. That means we electrified the trailer, so we're taking care about with our drive system about the rolling resistance of the complete unit. And that feeds to a CO2 reduction and a range extender for BEV. So that means we're reducing fuel by 40 to 50% or double the range of a BEV. This is what we do.
Fantastic. And are they available right now to use in Europe and can we use them in the UK as well?
Yes, of course. They are available. This is a running unit from a client. So just give me a call and you will get one.
And what would the sort of typical trailer cost be to the end user on when they're buying?
You can rent them, you can lease them, and the final price, of course, is depending also on the trailer. If it's a cooler, it's a reefer. Just give me a call and we will talk about it.
Okay, fantastic. And how did you guys come up with this idea? Because I've seen a lot of engine units before, but it's not often you see the trailer issue tackled separately.
I mean, the idea was born a couple of years ago from one of our founders, and it was just the idea to electrify the trailer, to taking care about the rolling resistance, to reduce CO2, to decarbonize the heavy trucks.
Well, it's a big issue at all European ports, especially like Antwerp, to decarbonize. What sort of have you found compared to a normal trailer with the decarbonisation be?
You can save up to 50% of diesel, and that means every liter, so let's say you can save 10, 12, 15 liter of diesel, and that every liter means 2.65 kilogram of carbon.
Excellent. And how long does it take to charge the e-trailer?
So this is able to take or to receive 350 kilowatts, and its capacity is about 600. Within 2 hours you are ready to go.
Okay, fantastic. That's amazing. And then how long would it typically last for on a full charge?
Roughly, let's say 1 kilowatt per kilometer, but this is just depending on the topography and the weather and the driver and the payload, of course, but I would say at least 600 kilometers.
Oh wow, so essentially like the driver needs to take a break anyway, so he just takes a break at a fast charger, recharges it, and once he's done his legal stop, it's ready to go again.
He do the pee and charge the trailer. Easy one, yeah.
Well, great. I mean, this is absolutely brilliant. What would you say to customers in the UK? We're in 88 countries, the podcast. But what would you say the next steps to be to trialling or to investing in the Trailer Dynamics?
I mean, there are different reasons. If you have a final client who wants to reduce CO2 on his support lines, we are ready. If you want to do a longer range with the BEV in front, I mean, today the BEVs are doing 200, 300, maximum 400 kilometers, and with this system you're able to do 600, 800, 900 kilometers, and that's the point. You charge at home, cheaper and on the way, and the dispo is easier.
Fantastic. Well, it's been brilliant to show the listeners. I'm looking forward to the full event at 1 o'clock, but thank you very much for showing us around the Trailer Dynamics.
You're welcome.
With that, we will embark on a 1,000-kilometer journey. Probably we can do that with the truck you guys saw downstairs with the trailer. And then we think about with the double trailer, how can we get to 2,000 kilometers single trip? That's from Sydney to Melbourne.
Yeah.
That's from Oslo to Tromsø in the Arctic Circle. So what we're doing is we like to think of how we can make this in Europe. Now that's also completely new. One reason why Europe really struggles with battery is the lack of the elements in the NMC. Cobalt is largely in Africa, and the nickel is in actually largely in Australia. Manganese is actually one of the world's top 10 most abundant elements. So if you can introduce more manganese in the battery, it makes it cheaper, more environmentally friendly, and easier to recycle. The other thing we're doing is something called drive-by-wire. In a horse carriage, when you want to turn it, you have to use the thing to signal the horse, and the horse maybe turns. That's not drive-by-wire. That's sort of analog. We're trying to get the whole thing drive-by-wire so that you're electronically controlling, directly signaling the steering and the braking system to perform precisely and consistently how you want it to perform. When we drive a vehicle today, especially a truck, it is not drive-by-wire. It actually drive by hydraulically powered levers, which means each time you perform a thing on the signal via your muscles on the steering wheel, the way your brain thinks is turning, and then the way your muscles translate to the turn signal, and the way it goes through about 4 different layers of mechanical translation means you're losing 20% of the information. If you're moving at high speed, carrying 68 tons, 20% of your turn signal is the difference between the truck flipping over and killing a string of cars versus a very safe maneuver. So true drive-by-wire is the critical foundation of safety and eventually of self-driving. The reason why self-driving cannot be achieved in trucks today is the computer does not really control what the truck does. There's a huge lag. It's lost in translation. So to do that, we're actually having to develop our own systems, starting with the steering system, which is the turn signal. We will do this with our partners, but we have our own recipe, which is the design and the way we've removed most of the layers in the translation. I think we're down to about 2 layers, two steps in translation without hydraulically powered assistance, which then itself is a very crude measure. And we're ahead of schedule here. I have one more thing to share. Money. So China Mobile is China's biggest, actually the world's biggest telecommunications operator. China Mobile will lead our C-series of 100 million in equity financing. We've signed deals with them, and just waiting for regulatory approvals to close. What's not shown here is also we have our French investor called PRD, the biggest industrial real estate builder in France. Myself, I've participated of about 9 million into this round of financing, and we would actually be later announcing very soon more European money into this round, and also US money. We would still like to be listed publicly later this year in New York, and then also in Europe as a dual listing, right? So that's how I thought I finished the presentation, and I'm glad you're all here with me. And maybe we get some coffee and we ask questions and just make it interactive.
Obviously, trucks. We hope to be able to deploy, let's say, to reach 150 trucks by this year, 150 electric trucks. So to reach 200, we need your support by the end of the first semester. But I think I really appreciate what you said. And the last point is clearly the ecosystem. So we try to work also with charging operators, but also with telematics player. Everyone who is able to deliver a turnkey solution, some kind simple access to the for the operator to make it happen. And yes, we really appreciate our discussion with Windrose team since the beginning, because you have this very pragmatic approach to access to a solution. And again, it's not a question of sustainability. Of course, I think that we are all driven to make it happen. But if we don't make it operationally relevant and economically performant, we will never convince the guy who really need to, at the end of the day, have an efficient solution.
So what we are doing is we take care about the rolling resistance of the trailer and the goods, of course. and that combined with a diesel truck feed us to 30 to 50% fuel reduction. And if we combine with a nice electric truck in front of, we most probably can double the range of the truck.